Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to give it a few moments just to allow everyone to get into our virtual space, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you so much for joining us today for our Falcon live chat, Deposited Now What? Understanding the New Falcon Experience. We're really grateful to spend a little bit of time with you today. We are recording this session because we recognize that not all of our new students or family members would be able to join us live. So this is being recorded and you will be able to access it on our Bentley Orientation YouTube channel. So please do take a look at this recording if you need to, and future recordings as well. This opportunity was open to both students and families. And for us, that's really important because we do view our families and supporters as partners in this experience. We recognize that our new Falcons have been with their families for much longer than they have been new Falcons. And so we really want to make sure that we can provide information and knowledge to our family members. So in the event that our students have questions, they can connect with their family members. I will say that we have many dedicated faculty, staff, and student leaders who are here to help support you through this entire process and beyond. But we always feel a little bit better knowing that our family members and supporters have some of this context as well. You will find that we have a variety of virtual opportunities for students and families throughout this summer leading up to the start of your time at Bentley. So please do take advantage of as much as you possibly can. And like I said, we will be recording these information sessions. So if you can't join us live, we highly encourage you to view the content at your village. With that being said, we are going to go ahead and get started. We'll dive into what the new Falcon Experience is, share with you a few highlights for this week that you should really have top of mind, and then we will open it up to question and answer. So since you're already hearing from me, I would be happy to introduce myself first. My name is Bobby Lynn Kekik, and I use the she series pronouns, and I'm the Executive Director for Orientation and Student Onboarding.
Hey everyone, my name is Caroline Horn. I'm the Associate Director for Orientation and Student Onboarding here at Bentley.
And our team works really closely with our students and families throughout the summer or throughout the fall if our students are joining us in the spring to really help make sure that you are feeling prepared for your start at Bentley. I will say that it does take a university effort to make sure that we can get you to that day one start. But our team works really closely with you individually to make sure that you have the support you need to successfully get started. So let's talk a little bit about what the new Falcon experience is. And for us, this is our onboarding experience at Bentley. So sometimes people hear onboarding, and that may sound like you're starting a job. But the onboarding process is really an experience, a journey that we think of in a way to get you from the start of your deposit, right? You've decided that you are coming to Bentley, you've deposited and said, this is my place, all the way to that first day of classes, and slightly beyond, because we recognize getting you to camp up, but making sure that you can settle in, that you know your resources, and you can start to identify what life will look like as a Bentley Falcon is just as important. And so you're going to hear from us now about what some of these resources are and opportunities, but you'll continue to be connected with us throughout these next few months. So, as we think about this upcoming summer for work, preparation, support, and connection. When we think about preparation, we're really thinking about what are the tasks and the knowledge and the resources that we want to make sure you have so that you can successfully really be prepared to start your first semester. So this includes our New Falcon tasks, which are a whole slate of essential tasks that we need folks to complete. It's not so glamorous, and we understand that, but with any new start comes some logistical components that are really important for you to take part in. We will talk a little bit more about that in just a moment, but that is something where students and families may work in tandem to complete some of those pieces, especially when it comes to some tasks that our students may not be as familiar with, such as the health forms. The other two pieces in regards to preparation that we wanted to reflect are our Bentley Beginnings online orientation and our academic orientation and course registration. We know that academics are so important for our new Falcons. And so we work really closely with our undergraduate academic advising team to ensure that we can provide resources to you regardless of where you are across the globe. We're incredibly fortunate to have a global community here at Bentley. And so we really try to ensure that we can have resources that are accessible at your availability and convenience. So this will look like some pre-recorded sessions that you will engage in. We then supplement that with some optional advising as needed. So for those who are looking to work more one-on-one or in a group setting with an academic advisor, you'll have access to that. And then what we do is once you actually complete your course registration, if you still have questions or if you want to talk further, during orientation, we provide opportunities for you to connect one-on-one with a staff member at that point as well. So we know that that is a really important piece to this experience. So we put a lot of sure that you feel prepared for this process. Our Bentley Beginnings online orientation, it is another great resource. This is something that all new students must complete, but family members and supporters are also able to access this tool. This is something that family members can access by creating a guest account, and then you can navigate the modules at your convenience. I think it provides some really great insight beyond just the information you've been able to glean through the admission process, but really provides some more details, which offices to be able to connect with, and what those support resources look like. So as we start to think about support, there are a few key components to what that looks like. We will dive in a little bit more to some of these, but just so that I can quickly identify, our quick guide is incredibly helpful. It is only 6 pages long. It has direct links right in there. So it's a really user-friendly resource to be able to just know where you need to go, click that link, and get some support. Our new Falcon Experience website provides a lot more detail. While it is user-friendly, it does have many layers. So if you go to that homepage, it will give you some quick information. But if you are a family member and you want more details, there's a subpage that you can click on that gives you many, many, many more details. Same thing with some of those different tasks, whether that's living on campus or whether that's academic components. You will find all of that information there. Our New Falcon News is our weekly newsletter that launches to all new students every Tuesday. So if you only check your Bentley email once a week, Tuesday is the day to do it. You will receive this throughout the summer. You should have received your first one today. And we also included families on that as well, so that way you are aware that this will start launching to your students. Moving forward, we will include copies of this on our new Falcon Experience website. So again, when in doubt, if you have questions, go to that new Falcon Experience website, and it can be really a one-stop shop for all the information you may need. Then the last piece that I wanted to highlight in regards to support is our new Falcon question form. Now, this form is accessible for our students and also our family members. When you click on the form, and we'll have a QR code to it at the end of our time today, but it's also on that new Falcon Experience website. You can just fill out that form, and then that form gets submitted to our team, and then we get to help do some of the legwork for you so we can get those questions answered for you. We do have a few boxes. If you think you know which department or which area it can go to, you can click that. But if you're not sure, that's okay. There's another box, and you can just put in your questions and we can help to assist you with that. And the last piece that we really wanted to emphasize that's part of the new Falcon experience is connection. We know that when our students have an ability to start to engage and feel connected, that leads to a sense of belonging. And when our students feel that they belong at our institution, they have a higher rate of success. And so that's what we're aiming for. We want to make sure that we can set our students up so that they can thrive and succeed in whatever success looks like for you. So a few pieces that we're going to talk about today are our campus groups engagement platform, which is something that students will continue to use beyond their time in the new Falcon experience. That's one reason why I love that tool, because it's not just something that you're going to use during the new Falcon experience. It's something you'll continue to engage with far beyond this time. New Falcon Nestworking, which is our engagement series, our social programs that allow you to connect with fellow Falcons throughout the summer before you arrive to Bentley. Our orientation program, which is when you finally get to be on campus with us and we get to provide all the nuts and bolts to get you started. And then at Welcome Falcons is our social media platform where we will continue to engage with students and families alike, especially through their first year, but many students and families choose to stay on and follow us throughout because we will continue to post really important updates, even for folks who are currently on campus. So as I mentioned, preparation, support, connection is really where you're going to see the new Falcon experience be centralized. Those new Falcon tasks, which I said are not the glamorous part of this experience, but the important part of this experience, really allows you to do those logistical steps in order to be prepared for that first day of class. So at this point, you really should be emphasizing setting up your Bentley email account. Once you deposited, you were asked to sign an acceptable use policy, just like you would if you were downloading an app on your phone or something like that. Once you sign your acceptable use policy, that notifies the system that your account can be generated. So you will then traditionally receive within 2 to 3 business days an email to whatever personal email Bentley has on file. That is usually the email that you've used throughout the admission process. So that could be an email to your high school email. That might be a personal email. If you're transferring in from another institution, that may be your institution email. Whatever that is where that email would go. I would encourage folks to also check your spam folder just to make sure that it didn't go into the spam folder. But if for some reason you can still not find that email and you have not set up your Bentley account yet, then you can always submit one of those new Falcon question forms and we can get you connected with our help desk, or you could reach out to them directly at helpdesk@bentley.edu. They'll be able to work with you to ensure that you can get a copy of those instructions and get that email set up. That is really the first step to doing any of these tasks, is making sure that you have that Bentley email set up. The next thing that we traditionally encourage folks to do is really, once you have that email set up, go back into your Bentley Connect portal, which is that portal that you've been using throughout the admission process, and update your email, change your email in there to your Bentley login. We encourage folks to do that because then you only have to remember one login. It is your Bentley credentials, and then you can do all things through that. Follow us at Welcome Falcons, and then, of course, review those resources that we referenced. They're not too long, but they're really helpful to get you started on these pieces. We recognize that for a lot of our students, especially folks who are here in the US, you are still in high school for our traditional age college students, or for some of our folks who might be transferring in, are probably wrapping up your semester. So we recognize folks are busy. So we wanted to highlight a few tasks just to make sure that they're on your radar to ensure that you can try to prioritize these pieces. That's completing your online orientation. So for students, we do ask that you complete that before the end of June. And then the other three that we really wanted to highlight, due on June 11th, is your critical reading and writing essay. For those students who are going to be living on campus, it would be submitting your housing and mail plan contract and application, which we'll speak about in just a little bit, and then making sure to submit that immunization and health record information by June 15th. All of these tasks can be accessed in that Bentley Connect portal that you've used throughout admission. It will have the deadlines, the direct links, and you'll be able to access all of this right through there. I have been talking quite a bit, so I am going to pause and turn it over to Caroline to talk a little bit about some of that support and connection that I referenced earlier.
Thank you. So, to ensure that you have appropriate resources and support throughout the New Falcon experience, we have created two resources for you: the New Falcon Quick Guide and the New Falcon Experience website. The quick guide provides essential details and direct links to help you access information and to complete tasks. And if you are looking for more details and resources, we encourage you to check out bentley.edu slash New Falcon Experience. On this webpage, there are more details on your tasks, support, and ways to get connected at Bentley. And there's also a great section for family members to help support their new Falcon. In addition to our quick guide and website, students will be receiving a quick newsletter every Tuesday with all the essential information you need to know from Bentley. So please make sure that you are checking your Bentley email every Tuesday starting this week. And for family members, we will be posting these newsletters on the New Falcon Experience website if you'd like to visit them as well. So for our New Falcon Nestworking, these are events that will really take place throughout the entire summer for students to be able to nest work and connect with fellow Falcons. They can ask questions, win some Bentley swag throughout the summer, and more details about the New Falcon Nestworking series will be shared on Instagram. And through our campus groups platform, students will be able to receive various badges based on involvement throughout this series on campus groups. Students will gain access to our campus groups engagement platform in June and can really begin connecting with each other from that point on, in addition to other events and activities that we'll host virtually via Zoom. And then next in the New Falcon experience are your opportunities for connection. And like I just mentioned, our app called Campus Groups serves as our main engagement hub for students from the moment they are deposited throughout their entire Bentley career. And so if you are interested in joining a club, an organization, or attend an event on campus, you are able to use this app. And to help you get familiar with the app, you'll start using it in June for the New Falcon experience and orientation.
Wonderful. And so Caroline mentioned orientation. And so we just wanted to give a quick plug for our orientation program. For our students or families who are joining us today, as you may be talking to other students or families of students who are going to a university, I just want to let you know that orientations look very different at all institutions. Some folks may do a spring orientation that is a drive in one day. Some folks will do a 1 or 2 day program over the summer. Others will do a fall program, and some folks only do an online program. And so at Bentley, we really try to ensure that we can provide an enhanced experience that allows our students and families to slowly start to intake information, have the support that is needed to really digest this, and then slowly work our way up to that physically being on campus and really getting started with your time at Bentley. So we start with our online program in June. We then do some additional support in regards to academics and course registration. We also have different events that we'll engage folks with. And then, as I mentioned, we have this on campus orientation experience for our students. We do have for any of our international students, so our students who are studying on a visa, that program will actually begin on August 26th. That's when students would arrive, they would move into their residence halls. We traditionally will have a welcome reception for any family members who are joining their students on this travel that evening. And then there will be continued programming throughout the remainder of that week. For our students who are not studying on visa, the program would begin, the university orientation would begin on August 28th. The only difference, or where this may look different, is if any of the students, any of your students are participating in our Mosaic experience, which is a pre-arrival opportunity, a defined community, which are specific living communities that students can apply into. Those two components would have a different move-in date. And so you would hear from the residential center about that, from our multicultural center if you were interested in that Mosaic program. And then also if you are a fall athlete, there may be an early arrival for some pre-season pieces, but your coaches will work with you directly if that is the case. Um, as we think about any of the work that you are going to do with us, whether that's through the onboarding process or orientation, these are really the core goals that we keep in mind. We want to make sure that folks understand not just Bentley, but the university setting. What does it mean to be at a university? What are your expectations? What does that look like? What are your rights and responsibilities as community members? How are we introducing you to collegiate level academics? It can be very different than what you may have experienced in a high school setting or at another institution. Of course, again, connections are such a core piece of this. And so as we think about engagement for our students, for our families, that is key. And the last piece is really tradition. I mean, you are joining an institution that's over 100 years old, that has an amazing network of alumni and has done some really amazing things. And so we are so excited that you have chosen Bentley and that you get to help add to this rich story and traditions. And so we really like to make sure that you know what that looks like and what you are joining and what you're a part of. And as I mentioned, our families are very much partners in this experience. And so a few of the opportunities that we have for our family members are shown right here. So we have our Falcon Live chat series that will happen throughout the remainder of the summer and into the first year. These are really our webinar-based orientation sessions. As I mentioned, we are incredibly fortunate to have a global community of families and students. And so we recognize, one, that not all families are going to be able to travel with their student to campus. And two, that even if folks could travel to campus, schedules may not allow for that. So we try to really space this out throughout the summer by bringing a little bit of Bentley to our families, and ensuring that you can get your questions answered and that you have the information and knowledge that you need. For folks who can join us live, wonderful, please do. If you can't, then we record those and we ensure that everyone has access to view those. And then you can reach out at any point with any question. And we're happy to help to support you with that. We also have some on-demand videos. So these are pre-recorded videos that help to introduce you to some of the support resources that exist. And then for families who are able to travel with their students, we will have some on-campus receptions throughout that week. So for folks who are arriving for our Mosaic experience, or for our international students and families, for our defined community families, and then on that larger move in and orientation start on the 28th. There will be some opportunities, again, for those families who are able to travel to be able to connect with the larger community. The last few pieces I wanted to highlight are our monthly family newsletters. So those will be starting shortly and will provide you an opportunity to just be looped into what your student is experiencing, where there are opportunities for you to engage with the Bentley community, and again, different resources to highlight so that you're aware of what that looks like for being a Bentley family member. We have that new Falcon question form that I referenced. And then one piece that I do like to highlight, again, those Falcon live chats will continue into the academic year for some of those bigger milestone moments for students. So whether that is registering for classes for the first time during the academic year, if that is participating in housing selection, if that is just thinking about your students' first return home from campus for their first break, just really making sure that we can provide our families with as much knowledge and resource as possible. But one piece that we are, really proud of and something that we really love our families to participate in is our virtual workshop that happens slightly after the orientation experience for our students. This is a way for our families to say, okay, my students have been on campus for about 2 weeks now. This is what I'm hearing from them, or I'm not hearing from them. What are they doing? And really just get a sense of what they can expect in this first semester, what their students are participating in, and also being able to hear from some current students and also our vice president. So if you are able to join us, please do. We will send out invitations for that in the middle of the summer. And then again, if you can't join us live, we will record that. So we have just a few highlights we wanted to emphasize as we think about some of the communications that you are receiving this week. And then we're going to open it up to some questions. So we know something that is top of mind for many of you is living on campus. We do have a wonderful commuter population as well, and so we'll work to provide resources for our commuter students. Right now, we're going to highlight the living on campus experience because this week, students who are going to be living on campus will receive an email from our residential center that will really outline what a student needs to do in order to sign that contract and submit that application. It is essential if you are planning to live on campus that you submit this paperwork in a timely fashion. So again, you will receive that information this week. It is supposed to launch towards the end of the day tomorrow. So students should expect to receive that to their Bentley email. And then once you log in, it is not a first come, first serve in the sense of you must sign the housing application right away in order to get a specific space on campus. That is not how this process works. It is you must submit the housing application and contract before the deadline if you are planning to live on campus. So if you have not set up your Bentley email yet, that is okay. Just make sure that you're doing that here in the next few days because this email will be sitting there in your inbox and we want to make sure that you'll have access to that. From our new Falcon Experience webpage, you will be able to see some information about living on campus. There's also some really wonderful virtual tours that you can access that show you some of the halls specifically in the first year area. So you can take a look at what does that look like? What does a room look like? What can I expect with that? But then if you also go to the Bentley website and search housing and dining, you'll find a robust level of resources there as well. This is just a quick snapshot about the housing contract and application. This will be outlined in that communication that you receive from the residential center, but just wanted to put a quick highlight on that. It will become available, as I mentioned, probably later in the day on May 21st. You will receive that communication. Obviously, if you're in a different time zone, that time may look different, but it will be launching on that day, Eastern Standard Time. And the one thing that is important to note is that you will actually submit your housing contract first, and then you will receive access to the housing application. So if you go on, you will see the housing contract first. Once that is submitted, that's when you'll have access to that housing application. So please do make sure that you go in and you do that. If students are under 18, you will need to have a signed copy by a parent, guardian, supporter sent to the housing@bentley.edu email, because this is a contract that's being signed. So please keep that in mind as well. And then a few pieces that we do want to make sure are top of mind for folks. But again, if you have questions around this, please do make sure that you're connecting with the housing team, because they can provide you many more details to ensure you have what you need. If you are interested in any of our defined communities, that information will be provided to you. You can apply into that. If you are interested in requesting a roommate, there is an ability for you to do that. I will say that the majority of students do not come in with a roommate in mind. They actually leverage the housing software to be placed with a fellow Falcon, or one or two, three different roommates. And most of the times it really works out very well. There is a form that you will fill out in the application process that tells you a little bit more, or that you can tell a little bit more about yourself, and then that the software works to pair folks up. If you need to request an accommodation, whether that's a medical or religious accommodation, there is a process for that. And again, there's many more details on the housing website, but that is something that is available for folks. So please just keep in mind, if you are taking advantage of one of these additional steps, the deadlines for those pieces will also be that June 11th deadline. So please make sure that you're keeping that front of mind. And the last piece that we just wanted to quickly highlight before we get to questions is computing at Bentley. Students should have received yesterday, again to their Bentley email, a communication from our client services team, which highlights some opportunities around computing at Bentley. This also was in your newsletter today, so you're welcome to peruse that as well. But the official communication has many more details. Um, if you already have your own laptop and you want to bring that, or your own computer and you want to bring that, highly encourage you to take a look at Bentley's minimum standards to ensure that what you are bringing will be acceptable and you'll be able to use and leverage for any of your courses. If you have a Mac or you're thinking about a Mac, we would highly encourage you to take a look at, again, that computer configuration, just to understand what that may look like for you if you are choosing to use a Mac. With the Bentley computer purchase program, it does provide educational pricing. It also provides some additional pieces with accidental damage protection and different support for folks. So always encourage folks to take a look at it. At the end of the day, it is completely your choice and what works for your family and what you think is going to be most helpful. But we do provide some good guidelines there so that you can make best choice for you as you're preparing for that. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions about that. We can definitely make sure that we're connecting you with our client services team to ensure that you have the best technology possible as you start to begin your journey here at Bentley. But wanted to highlight two of those pieces because those are communications that you should have received or will be receiving to your Bentley email this week. So with that being said, I know that I have spoken a lot. um, I'm sure that you have many questions, and so happy to open it up to questions that folks may have. You can go ahead and use the Q&A button on your screen to type those in, and then Caroline and I will get to as many questions as we can with you during this time. There is a question specific to our international orientation. And so for this program, students will, if you're living on campus, this is also the day that you would arrive in the morning. And then you would use some time to get settled in. We typically have our reception around dinner time for us, which is around like 5 o'clock. I know that might be a little early for some folks. But it's typically around 5, 6 o'clock that we would do a reception. And then students would be in sessions from about 9 a.m. until about 8 p.m. For the remainder of those days, with optional programming at night to socialize with folks. We will say, I know sometimes, especially for families who may be traveling with our international students and are traveling much further away, um, we recognize that flights may only come at certain times from certain areas. So again, while the program will start on that Tuesday, we highly encourage you to connect with our housing team. If it seems like you may need to arrive a day early, you can always request that early arrival. And as long as that room is set up, they should be able to help to support you there. The other piece, I think sometimes whether folks are local or coming from further away, people may ask, should I stick around? Should I stay for my students? Families might ask this. And what I will offer up is that it is very busy for students. So they are pretty much going nonstop. The only time that there really is a little bit more flexibility for folks to connect with others off campus would really be that Monday before they start classes. But again, given travel, some folks may not be able to stick around to that Monday. So just a heads up on that. All right, now we got the questions rolling in.
For the question about online orientation, it does take a few days for it to populate into the portal to show that it is completed for you. So if you find in a little, like the next few days, it's still not showing up, feel free to let us know and we can look into that. But it doesn't happen immediately that it gets checked off.
Uh, there is a question about math placement. So the math placement will become available in mid-June. What we try to do is ensure that students are able to get through the reading and writing essay first, and then in mid-June, we'll open up the math placement process for students. We will keep that open for a few weeks. We recognize it traveling, working, whatever that may be. So it's not going to just be open for one day or one week and then people need to complete it. Um, but more information to come with that as we get closer to that June 11th date where we are wrapping up our critical reading and writing essay. You will receive that. So please do not stress about that piece. We really want to make sure you can focus on the writing essay, and then we will provide context around the math placement process. Um, There is a question about, does Bentley recommend a laptop over a Mac? Um, what I would encourage is, in that email or in the newsletter, there is a section around some of the challenges that could exist if you bring a Mac. It's not impossible, but it does present some challenges with, depending on what major you may be, some of the software pairing with it. So that is where it really may be individual preference. So I would read through those configurations, and if it aligns with, a major that you may be considering, then you may want to go with a different preference for that. But I would highly recommend you to view that. If you have a laptop, right? If you already have a Mac and you're like, this is my preference, I would encourage you to maybe reach out and just explain to, or connect with the help desk, and they may be able to talk through some other pieces with you of like, hey, you know what, this actually is going to be okay with the software that you have. I think the biggest thing is just making sure that you would have access to any of the softwares that you may need for a course.
We do have a few questions about the Mosaic program. And so that is a pre-orientation program that is open to first year students of color and allies. And so it's 3 days before the orientation program, and students who get selected to participate get an early campus move in, an opportunity to build connections and connect with different staff members around academic success. But if you have any questions about that application or that selection process, our MCC staff would be a great resource for you to connect with to learn more about that.
Most definitely. And there was a question about if that needs to be noted on the housing application, and it does not. The Mosaic Experience is not one of the defined communities. It is a pre-arrival program. And for students who are selected for that program, the residential center will receive that list from the MCC. Um, there are a few questions around health records and forms. Regarding the specific immunization records, it does have to be a full list of what immunizations you have, what that process has looked like for you. We recognize that for some of the immunizations that are required, you may not have access to that in your home country. And so we wind up providing, if you are unable to receive those at home, then we will have an immunization clinic on campus once students arrive. So if that is something that you're able to access, wonderful, please do that as you're able. But if you are unable to access that, then you are welcome to participate in that immunization clinic. If you have more specific questions to your health forms or any of that, if you submit that new Falcon question form, there's actually a little box for our health center staff. So you can just go ahead and write that question in, and then they can connect back with you directly. There's a question about how long the online orientation takes to complete. And I would say that if you were to sit down and do it in one sitting, it's probably about, I don't know, maybe 75 minutes. It's not incredibly long. Um, but what's really great about it is you don't have to do it in one sitting. So if you want to jump on and do one module, you can do it, and then it will remember where you've left off. So if you're not able to do it, or if you're trying to access it on the way to work or to, going to classes, you can definitely do that. That's why we really like this specific platform, because it is something that folks can access when they're able.
For the question about an orientation week in June or July, we do not have a summer orientation model, but we do have students come back at the end of August for a 4-day orientation program. We will have this live chat series available for family members all summer long, as well as some different virtual events for students to participate in. And in the next few weeks, we will also have upper class students called New Falcon Mentors starting, and they will be a great resource for your students too to connect about anything around the New Falcon experience. And they will be hosting office hours. They'll be able to contact them via email, and they'll be at the events too. So while we don't have a traditional summer model like some other institutions do, we do a lot over the summer to make sure students feel comfortable and ready to go in August for our August program.
We received a question around what does an Office of Accessibility or Disability Services look at like at Bentley? We have a great team in our student accessibility services office, and they will work specifically with students. If you have proper documentation for accommodations that you received in high school at other institutions, you can go ahead and submit that to the team, and they'll go ahead and review that and then work with you to identify what the best course of action is that they can offer. The technically the deadline that you might see posted in your checklist on Bentley Connect is early August. That just allows for them to ensure that they can get as much setup as possible to offer to you. But I would say if this is something that you know that you're going to want to take advantage of, I would start that conversation now. And there is a direct link in your Bentley Connect portal. So on the checklist, there's a direct link to that team and to that page. But if you are still uncertain of where to go, feel free to reach out to us and we are happy to do an introduction for you to the team. And even if you're on the fence of whether you want to take advantage of those accommodations, I think it's great to just connect with the team and express what you've had for accommodations in the past and what that could look like at Bentley. I think it's really important to get those conversations started as soon as possible.
Or the question about shipping a laptop to campus. Anything about mail, I will put the address in the chat for you all to see. But there's more information from our mailroom too in regards to when you can start sending those items, but you can ship to your campus address and be able to have it for the beginning of classes.
Yeah, and if you are specifically purchasing it through the Bentley vendor, you can put in information about where you want that sent. So you can definitely have it sent to Bentley for pickup there. There's a question about in the housing application, can folks put preferences? And yes, you can put your preferences for types of housing that you would be interested in. What I would say is, again, those are going to be preferences. So if there is something where there is a medical or a religious accommodation that folks need to put forth, that is something that you would need to submit separately. So please make sure that you are doing that and submitting those accommodations. But if it is really about preference, in what type of accommodation you are interested in, that is a part of the housing application process. And if folks are interested in learning more about the options that we have for residence halls, what that looks like, what does support, what does engagement, next week or in 2 weeks on the 4th, is it the 4th? The 3rd? Hold on, let me get the date right for you. On the 3rd, June 3rd, there will be a live chat for our family members around living on campus. And then on that Wednesday evening, we're having an event for students called a roommate mixer. So this is where you'll have the opportunity to connect with other students, learn a little bit about each other, but then also hear from staff in our residential center. So they will hear some of that similar content that that families would receive during that live chat. So that first week of June, if you are curious about some more of that content, please do consider participating in those events, just to get a little bit more context for what you're looking for. And if you do have someone in mind that you would like to live with, you would put their information down in your application, and then they would have to put your information down. So it's important that however many folks are looking to live together are all getting that information into that application, because if, say, I really wanted to live with Caroline, but Caroline didn't put my name down, the housing staff is not going to just place Caroline and I together. So Caroline would have to put my name and I would have to put her name. So please just make sure, if you do know someone that you want to live with, that all of you are putting that information in there. And there is a question about, does everyone go through the same housing process? And yes, everyone does. So if you are planning to live on campus, or if your student is planning to live on campus, everyone would submit their information in the same timeline, the same process, to make sure that they can have that secured housing. Again, we do know that some folks might come in and want to room with others. We know that sometimes our student athletes might connect with other new athletes and potentially live together. But I will say 9 out of 10 times, the majority of our students really are paired up based on their preferences, and it really does tend to work out well. And we've also heard from folks that it's kind of nice to have someone that you might not know, because then your friends that you know, you can go and you can connect with, but then you're able to kind of expand that circle too.
For the question about having an assigned academic advisor to assist in the course selection process, our academic advising team will have a lot of different webinars and resources for students to really learn about course registration prior to the July 30th date, but they do not get assigned a specific advisor until post course registration. But there will be a website that will go live in June for students to review, as well as different drop-in hours and resources, so that if students have any questions before that registration piece, there will be a lot of different times to ask those. We will also have a live chat with them to answer any and all questions that you may have too.
I know we received a few questions around financial aid, financial assistance, and in our newsletter that launched today, we do have a few resources towards the bottom of the newsletter. So I would highly encourage folks to take a look there first. It does provide a really great FAQ, some of the typical questions. We know that navigating this process is incredibly complex. And so we want to make sure that we have as much resource available for folks as possible. For financial aid counselors, that is an alpha order split. So students, you will be able to see your counselor on your Bentley Connect portal. There's a little tab for financial aid there. But if you aren't in your Bentley Connect portal and you just happen upon the Student Financial Services website, it will show you, so A through F is this counselor, and then so on and so forth. So you're welcome to connect with them directly. There's also some really great resources on there for external grants and scholarships. Opportunities for our international students who may be looking for some additional aid. So a lot of really great resources there. Have a live chat this summer with representatives from that team. So highly encourage you or your family members to join in on that session. So if you have specific questions, you can ask them at that point in time. But definitely a lot of resources in that newsletter that we launched today. There's a question about when tuition bills will be presented. And so that is in early July. They will be presented in the student's workday account. And this is something that's really important for folks to be aware of. So students will be presented that will be submitted in your, or that will be presented in your workday account. That is how you will see what your tuition bill is for this upcoming semester. If you have a family member or a supporter or someone who is interested in that and or maybe helping you to financially navigate that, you are able to give third party access to anyone to be able to see that content. But the students, you as a student, would have to set that up. In the newsletter that we sent today, there is a link where it has instructions for the students to be able to do that. But that is something that the students have to set up. And then family members or supporters or whomever that may be would receive that login, and then you would be able to access that information. But that will not come out until it's typically the second week of July. And then those bills would be due in August. But again, there will be information around payment plans, around different sources um, for grants and aid, especially if that's something that's been added to your package. But if you have more specific questions, highly encourage folks to connect directly with their financial aid counselor, because they'll be able to work with you one-on-one, looking at your package, helping you to take a look at what other sources might look like for you. We have a few questions around how long the placements take, and if you are bringing in any AP credit, what does that look like? And so what I would encourage is, if you are, AP credit isn't going to be released until July. So the university is aware of that. When you are submitting if you are unsure of what you scored for your AP that would exempt you from the critical reading and writing essay, I would encourage you to still write the essay. That way, the faculty will be able to review that and identify where you're like, I am very certain that I've scored a 4 or 5, and this is what this is going to be. You can definitely have those conversations with the admission team. That's where I would start. And then if we're still uncertain, we can definitely make sure that you are connecting with our director for the critical reading and writing program. So that way we can ensure that you're getting placed where appropriate. For the math placement process, you will be asked those questions, so that will be factored into, but everyone will complete that math placement process so that we know where to place you for math. Where it does matter, I think a little bit more is, especially if someone's looking to go into actuarial sciences, that does require a very specific track for math. And so we want to make sure that we're aligning that with your trajectory over those first few semesters. But please do not worry about that. I know it's easier for me to say that than for you to feel that, but we will be working with our students to ensure that that information is appropriately input. If you are bringing in any other advanced standing credits, whether that is BI, or if you have any transfer credits from other institutions, I would ensure that those are getting sent to Bentley as quickly as possible. I would also encourage you to ensure that you're getting your official high school transcripts or other college transcripts to Bentley as soon as possible. That will be really helpful as we are building out, working with you to build out your schedule to ensure that you're getting in the right, the right courses. We want to ensure that you're going to get what's right for you so that you can be successful and just start that right from the start. So we are coming up on time. I know there are definitely a few questions we were unable to get to. So before we do head out, I am going to share my screen one more time, just so that way I can get you that QR code that I referenced, New Falcon question form. So if there are some questions we did not get to with you today, please feel free to submit a New Falcon question form, and we will ensure that we can help support you in that. If you are watching this on your phone so you cannot access the QR code, if you go to our New Falcon Experience website, there is a direct link there for you to access that, and this will be able to connect you with anyone at Bentley to get those questions answered for you. I think the biggest piece is we know this is a huge, huge step for you in this new chapter that you are going to be starting. And we just want to make sure that we are here with you every step of the way. We know that is a lot. No question, is a question you shouldn't ask. If you got it, ask it, because there's probably other folks who have it too. And whether you or a sibling or a family member or someone has attended university before, every experience is different. And if you or your family members have never attended university, every experience is different. So please just know we are all in this, and we're here to help support you and help you thrive and succeed. You will hear from Caroline and I many times throughout this summer. We are so grateful that you chose Bentley, and we can't wait to get things started. Thank you all so much.